Hey, I'm Kevin O'Connor, a solutions engineer here at HashiCorp, and today I'm going to be demoing Vault Secrets Sync, which allows you to replicate key values you have stored in HashiCorp Vault out to cloud-native secrets management systems like AWS Secrets Manager, Azure Key Vault, and Google Cloud Secrets Manager. So for some background, you might be asking, why did we develop this capability? And it all comes down to the fact that in certain circumstances, fetching secrets directly from Vault might not make the most sense, right? Think about it from a user experience or application performance perspective. There are likely applications or users that are operating in your cloud environments, and in which it would be much easier for them to have access to a secret from a delivery system which is closer to them, like Azure Key Vault. Imagine you have an application running in Azure. Why not have it read directly from Azure Key Vault rather than having it make a longer trip out to HashiCorp Vault, which may be self-hosted in your own data center or managed by us in the HashiCorp cloud. And then with this, Vault still remains as the system of record, right? It's still that centralized single source of truth, but it allows you to cache a subset of secrets in various external systems that are acting as these trusted last mile delivery systems. Great. So with that, let's jump right into the demo and I'll show you how this works. Let me get the screen share going. Okay, so for today, we're going to be demoing this with Azure Key Vault. And I'll just start off with some of the initial setup and configuration that I did for how we got this working. Right, so the first thing that we're going to need, obviously, is an Azure Key Vault instance. So that's what we have here called O'Connor KV. This is a Key Vault. And if we take a look inside, we can see there's nothing in here, no keys or secrets, right? Which is perfect. We're starting off with a blank slate. Great. We also have a Vault instance running that I'll get to in a second, right? But the next thing we're going to need to think about is how those two things sort of communicate with one another. How is the Vault instance going to be able to authenticate with Azure Key Vault so that it can do its replication? And as you might imagine, the way we go about that is through creating a service principal in Azure. So if we take a look at Microsoft Entra ID, which is the new name for Azure Active Directory, we created a service principal through an app registration that I called O'Connor KV example app. What this does is that it gives us a couple of things that we'll need for the configuration on the Vault side, specifically a client ID, and then I was able to generate a client secret, right? So we'll use those values in the configuration on the Vault side, which will allow Vault to authenticate with Azure Key Vault. The last part of this is that in taking that service principal, we need to give it a set of permissions for what it's allowed to do within Azure, right? So if we go back to our Key Vault and we check out IAM, and we check the access we have, we can see that we attached that service principal to our Key Vault instance and gave it a role called Key Vault Secrets Officer, which is a kind of pre-configured role that Azure gives you that allows for privileges only in operating the Azure Key Vault, right? So that's exactly what we want. It's sort of a least privilege model for what our Vault instance needs to be able to do in Azure Key Vault, right? We don't want any external third-party systems or users to have, elevated privileges to be able to do things in Azure that they shouldn't be able to do. So in this case, just giving HashiCorp Vault the ability to operate within Azure Key Vault. Okay, fantastic. So we'll hop over to Vault here in a second and show a bit about the config that we have set up here. So this is our Vault instance running in the HashiCorp Cloud Platform. We can see we're running one of the latest versions of Vault, 1.15.2. And that's a fantastic thing about HashiCorp Cloud Platform is that you don't have to worry about doing upgrades and maintaining kind of the latest versions of Vault. That's all handled through silent releases on our side. And the great part about that is you get features like Secrets Sync just about as quick as anyone else, right? You don't have to worry about kind of planning the maintenance for a version upgrade, on your side and having to schedule and implement that work yourself, right? You kind of get the latest versions as they're rolled out to the platform, and inclusive of new features like Secrets Sync. So one thing we'll need to do is kind of set up that authentication piece on the Vault side of things, right? So I'm actually, if we jump to the CLI for a second, we can see that I'm actually authenticated into my Vault instance from the CLI here. And we're going to do a quick, I'm just going to grab the command. We're going to do a Vault write operation, which is essentially going to set up that sync destination that with the Azure Key Vault instance that we have using some of the values that we created in our service principal, right? So that client ID and client secret I mentioned before, then we have the Key Vault URI for the specific ID for the Key Vault instance. And then we have the tenant ID for like where it is that we're operating within Azure. So we'll go ahead and set that up. We should get a confirmation. There we go. Great. So the authentication piece is set up, right, on the Vault side of things so far. Now we need to write some secrets, right, to Vault. So taking a look at our secrets engines, secrets engines in Vault provide the ability to store and generate different types of secrets, right? So the simplest use case is key value, right, where you're just storing key value pairs, and I have a pre-existing secrets engine for key value here, just called, secret, right, at the path of secret. And let's say, I have some old application secrets in here, right? And they're just key values, and you can write them and you can version them, and Vault keeps track of all of that. But there are other secrets engines as well too. Probably a topic for another time. But if you want to, use Vault as a certificate authority to manage all of your PKI, you can do that. If you want to use it to generate, dynamic credentials for access to your cloud environments, you can do that as well too. That same sort of pattern applies to different database systems that you have. So Vault can be used for kind of a plethora of a number of different things. In this case, we're just going to be talking key values. And we're going to be creating another key value secrets engine, right? Just to showcase that this is not an all or nothing approach with Secret Sync. We can choose specifically what secrets we want synced out to our external system. So in this case, everything at this secret path, we're just going to leave in Vault. We're going to create a new secrets engine, write some new secrets, and have only those replicated out to Vault. So let's go ahead and just a couple more simple commands here on the Vault side of things. We'll kind of see this get populated in the Vault UI in real time. We're going to do a Vault secrets enable. This is basically creating a new secrets engine called MyKV within Vault. So great. We have that. If we were to refresh here, we'll see MyKV pop up now in the UI. There it is. And then we're going to go ahead and write some secrets to Vault itself. So we're going to do a Vault KV put command, which is essentially writing a secret called MySecret with the key value of foo equals bar at the mount of MyKV that we just created. Right. So we'll go ahead and do that. And if we take a look inside MyKV now, we can see we have a secret called MySecret, and it's a key value of foo and bar. Fantastic. So just to recap real quick, we have our Azure Key Vault instance out in Azure. We have our Vault instance, and we've written some secrets to it, and we've set up the authentication piece. The last part that we're going to need to do is actually create an association between the secret we've written and the destination, right? Basically saying we want this secret to be replicated from Vault out to Azure Key Vault. And, anytime changes are made within Vault, we want those to be, kind of propagated out to Azure Key Vault as well too. So to do so, it's just one last command here that we'll run. And this does exactly kind of what I just said, right? We're syncing the destination and the mount and secret that we just created in Vault with Azure Key Vault. So we'll go ahead and actually, before I run that, we'll just take a look back in Azure Key Vault again, just to show, right, we have no secrets available. Once I run this, replication should kick off. There we go. And now if we refresh this, we can see we have our Vault KV MySecret that's been replicated into Azure Key Vault. If we take a look inside, we can see we only have a single version so far, which is expected. And the secret value of foo equals bar, right, matches exactly what we have here in Azure. Fantastic. Now, let's say, we're going to write over this. We're going to version this within Vault. We can create a new version. Let's say now it's foo and baz. Go ahead and we'll save this. And within Vault, we're now in version 2, right? So we have version 2 of foo and baz. Vault versions things as well too. So we still have foo and bar, but version 2 we'll take a look at. Now let's head back over to Azure. We'll take a look at the secret and refresh this. And we can see we now have the newer version as well too. If we take a look at the current version and show the value, foo and baz is there. Fantastic. Exactly what we're looking for. So now you may be asking about, deleting versions, right? One thing to note is that, it's important at the moment that Vault Secrets Sync considers its state as the latest version that it has to replicate, right? So deleting an older version, in this case, deleting version 1, right, an older version, will not actually trigger a sync. And that older version will still remain in Azure Key Vault, right? So if we delete version 1 within Vault, version 1 will still remain in Azure Key Vault because version 2 is the latest version that we have, right? And that's what it considers as its current state. On the other hand, deleting the latest version in Vault, so if we were to delete version 2, that actually triggers a hard delete in the destination location, which will remove all the versions, right? So long story short, a lot of the versioning capabilities that are available within Vault are limited on the destination side of things, right? In fact, for just kind of behind the curtain real quick, Google Cloud is the only API that was really feature rich enough out of AWS, Azure, and Google that would enable that sort of kind of version parity and soft deletes. Azure and AWS's APIs for this use case are currently not as feature rich. And so, from a product standpoint perspective, we really kind of needed to standardize as far as what the default behaviors would be according to what would work everywhere. So just for some backstory on that, but taking that behavior into account, right? If we're to delete version 1, an older version within Vault, so we're going to delete version 1 of this secret. Right, we still have version 2 available. And if we're to head out to our secret in Azure and refresh, we can see we still have both versions, right? That's kind of the expected behavior. It's not synced into Azure. Then if we were to go ahead and actually delete version 2, right, we now have nothing within Vault. And we refresh, we can see the secret's not found, right? And if we actually refresh here, we can see there's no secrets available, right? Which is, again, the expected behavior. Likewise, had we deleted our latest version initially, both versions 1 and 2 would be deleted from Azure, right? So if we deleted version 2 initially from Vault, the secret would be wiped from Azure completely. Now, I know that's kind of a lot of jumping around, a lot of version 1, version 2. So feel free to kind of rewind and listen again if you need to. But hopefully that showcased, the benefits that you can get out of Vault Secrets Sync, particularly in how you can make the experience of your users and development teams easier by allowing them to read from cloud native solutions that are kind of closer to their action, while also maintaining ease of mind through centralizing secrets management securely in HashiCorp Vault. Please feel free to reach out to me or your account team if you'd like any more information, and thanks for the time. Okay, take care.